Hello everybody, my name is Connor and welcome back to another Robert Lucci game. We are playing against Perona and look at that spandom hit. The world is my oyster. I got all CP cards, which is great because we are absolutely going to take the Kaku. I don't feel like I need the Tempest Kick and we cannot grab spandom, but this game is a long one. It did go to time. We did start overtime, but we were able to wrap it up almost initially right outside of overtime. So my opponent draws 2 Dawn and passes, and I get a Gecko, which is great. That is something I want to play potentially as soon as possible. And I swing 5 into lead with Lucci, minusing nothing but milling 2. We get a Lucci and a Rebecca in trash, which our trash is looking pretty okay so far. No way to, or no minusing effects, but we end up swinging the 5 into Perona and getting a counter, just trying to apply a lot of pressure to Perona. This is, I wasn't sure which Perona build this was, but that counter does give me the idea that it is one of Perona. They go ahead and swing 5 into, I think, me, which I'm tempted to. Yeah, I end up just taking it, and we get stage. First trigger stage. I think that's the first time I've seen stage off a trigger, and I love that for me. So my opponent plays out the Hiyori, no effect, and passes turn, and I really don't want my opponent to benefit off of that Hiyori play. And with Lucci and stage, also the Kaku we picked up, I feel I'm okay with getting rid of it by using Kaku, sending Tempest Kick, and I can't remember right now if it's 2 or 3. Regardless if it's 2 or 3, I do have another Lucci in hand, so if I have to send 3 back, it's not the end of the world. If I get to send 2 back, I'm leaving Lucci in trash. I don't have a really clean way to get the Lucci from my hand into trash, and I am trying to decide if I want a Kaku or Brook here, seeing if I can get it low enough for Brook. Unfortunately, I left my dice in my dice tray this game, or this turn, like a fool. And am I gonna play the Brook? I think so I think I play the Brook, and I swing 6. They give me the Toy Soldier, which is a really nuts card, and I did ask them. I said, okay, check me on my math, because we all know math is hard. Check me on my math. If I did this wrong, I left enough Dawn up to remedy it, and I end up playing Brook and KOing with Brook effect, KOing the Hiyori. Oh. And yeah, so pretty pleased with that play. I feel like Brook is one of the cards that I have been, it's not so much struggling to use, but I'm just so concerned about the math of Brook, and the wording on Brook confuses me a lot for some reason. But they go ahead and swing 6 into Brook, and that's fine. Brook is useful on board or in the trash, and they drop Sabo. So I was kind of hoping to get a Kaku play off, but unfortunately not this turn. Can't get rid of the Kaku, and they discard a Gecko and a You Can Be My Samurai. And we get another Lucci. I was hoping for my own Sabo to kind of, retaliate. But we, honestly, with that Sabo play, we have no play this turn. I don't want to drop Lucci. It can't do anything. I don't want to drop Kaku. Can't do anything. Suru is more useful as a 2K than anything else. So I'm thinking about going 6-7. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's better to get a body on board. I don't feel like it is. I feel like Perona can potentially tap a lot of the cards I have. So yeah, I'm thinking pretty hard about what I want to do, and yeah, I just go 2, 3, 7. Yep. Oh, never mind. I do 7, 7. So I go 7 with the Spandam, and my opponent ends up taking. I bump the camera there, realizing that the camera view is kind of bad. I try and fix it, and then I swing 7 with Lucci. I don't think I Lucci effect here, which is kind of a mistake. But they do give me the 2 1Ks to keep Sabo alive, and I just wanted to make sure that it was in fact the 4. Yeah, no Lucci effect, which is a bit of an error. Something I didn't notice. I know a lot of you guys were commenting on my Boa videos like, you forgot leader effect, you forgot leader effect. I am a forgetful little man, and I appreciate the comments. I do. A lot of the times I just am not, I'm just focused on what's going on in the game. And like in this case, I think it was, I can't minus anything, so why minus it, you know? So my opponent swings 5, and I use the Kaku to get out of it. And I think my opponent is on the 8 Dawn turn, so I am expecting a Gecko, especially because they discarded a Gecko earlier. And now they're looking through their trash, and I'm like, yeah, Gecko is coming. And yeah, I think they are just thinking about what they want to do. They end up going 6 here, which I 2K out, and that puts the Subaru in my trash, which is great, especially because boom, there is the Gecko, and I am ready. I think I have what I need to pop their Gecko. I think, you know, with stage, Lucci effect, and Subaru and trash, I'm feeling pretty good. They end up Geckoing out the Toy Soldier and the Hiyori. The Hiyori coming in rested and then dropping the Ryuma is super good. Popping the Spandam, that's kind of cracked. I can't complain because Lucci has the Spandime, Rebecca Spandime Lucci play, but the bringing Hiyori in rested and then getting the Ryuma or another Wano character not rested, it's very solid. I can't complain. So I'm counting my cards. I do have an extra Dawn. I'm on my 9 Dawn turn. I draw for turn. I remember asking him, I was like, wait, I don't think I drew for turn. And he was like, I don't know. And I was like, okay, I'm going to draw for turn. And he was like, we'll see it in the VOD. So we get another Gecko, which I was kind of hoping for more counter, but I feel like in a black matchup, having Geckos is pretty good, especially because of how frequently they can minus my, you know, or how easy it is for other black decks to pop my larger cost characters. Even something like Black Yellow Luffy has ways to pop 8 costs, as we saw in the Black Yellow Luffy match I played. So yeah, I am just trying to think about the best way to play this turn. I think I goof this turn really bad, if I'm not mistaken. I Tempest Kick, and we get Helmeppo, which I'm like, why couldn't I get you earlier? So yeah, I definitely do mess up this turn. I remember I was very upset, but math is hard. We learn, that's why we're doing it. I swing 5 at lead, minusing the Gecko, milling the Lucci mills, gives me another Rebecca and a Khalifa. I minus stage to Gecko. Yeah, so I minus stage to Gecko, and I think I end up Gecko into Lucci, if I'm not mistaken, this turn, which isn't the greatest Lucci, or isn't the greatest Gecko turn. And yeah, I think I Gecko Helmeppo Lucci or Gecko Suru Lucci. Yeah, but so I play out the Gecko Moira. Yeah, no, I get the Lucci. and then I end up playing out Suru, and I minus the Ryuma, and I'm like, I fucked up. I was literally like, I fucked up. I meant to do... I thought I could get both, but seeing it now with the dice, my math was wrong. They're both at 2. I can only KO 1. It is more valuable for me to KO the Gecko than the Ryuma. Ryuma will probably pop my Lucci, but that's fine. Lucci and trash is great. You know what they say? Another man's trash is one man's trash is another man's Lucci, I think is the saying. But we'll go ahead and bottom deck the Tempest Kicks, and I think I end up bottom decking the Spandam just because I don't feel like he is as useful. And I have one in trash. It's not a bad option. And yeah, I pop the Gecko and I pass turn. Pretty upset that I goofed that Gecko play, but considering how bad I am at math, I want to really drive home that your boy is bad at math. I had to pass. The only reason I graduated from college is because I took like bonehead math for non-math majors. Like, I am notoriously bad at math, so I knew I was gonna be goofing up the math. Thankfully, this is locals. Granted, we were playing for prizing, which is packs, which is always nice. So pretty bummed that I messed that up, but it's not the end of the world. We can, we learn to do math more carefully and make sure I have my dice out. The dice help with the math so much, especially when I have control of the dice. My opponent was nice enough to let me use the dice, but enough about me crying about my bad Gecko play. My opponent drops the Otama and plays out the you can be my samurai, drawing cards, tapping the one-legged soldier, and ends up, he ends up dropping Lucci to a 3 cost, a one-legged soldier, dropping Gecko to like 5, and I'm like not super familiar with the one-legged or toy soldier, and then he ends up playing the 8 cost Sabo, popping both, and I'm like, oh fuck. But I did see him discard the Ice Age, and he swings 5. I 2k with the 2k out with the Ryuma, and let's see, not Ryuma. He swings. I was able to get Helmeppo, Ryuma, Spandime, and Trash, and we are gonna redeem ourselves for that bad Gecko play. We've got the pieces for a good Gecko play. Granted, we don't have much counter, but we have the pieces for a solid Gecko play, and I think the ability to get rid of a good chunk of his board. So I'm gonna try and math out my turn a little better this time, and just hopefully do it right. Thankfully, he did end up popping our Lucci. I think if he let Lucci be, I haven't seen a 0 cost event. I haven't had a chance to play my Sabo. It is definitely hard. So I swing 7 into the Ryuma. There's my 0 cost event. I minus the the Sabo by 1. He counters out to keep Ryuma alive. So that's okay here. I tap my stage. I minus Sabo again. Really wish I would have seen my Sabo. I feel like it's so easy to pop things with Sabo. I tap 8. I play out my second Gecko, and we get the Rebecca out of trash, and I get the Rebecca, and you can see I'm doing math. I am doing math. I minus him down by 2, or down 2-2. I get the Spandime, and I'm like, okay, this isn't great, but I'm gonna pop the Sabo, the 8 cost Sabo, and the Otama. I will send back with Spandime, I will send back the Spandam, the 0 cost event, and one of my Kakus. And yeah, I want the 0 cost as soon as I can get it. I only run 2. I've been thinking about running more. I put the Helmeppo in trash and play out the Lucci, popping Sabo and Otama, if I believe. So my opponent, unfamiliar with that disgusting line, honestly. That's so stupid. Yeah, he ends up, wanting to read the card, and understandable. Well, now we have a really big, disgusting board, and I mean, he has the ability. Sorry if you guys heard that. My cat just hit my mic. She rubbed against it, but yeah. So we have a big board. He does have the ability to tap Rebecca with the Perona ability, which is kind of unfortunate for me. And by kind of unfortunate, I mean really unfortunate. Yeah, I think it's definitely rough. I need to find some way to get those Luccis from my hand into trash. You can't just freely discard your trash. That's crazy. And yeah, I'm trying to give my board more room. I'm realizing how cluttered my board is. I'm trying to fix it. I get very particular about it. And I got a whole 2K counter in hand, 2 Luccis, and he tapped my Rebecca. So that is absolutely rough. So after some thinking, my opponent goes ahead and swings 6. I drop my Lucci card, which is so embarrassing. I 2K out with Kaku, just because I'm not sure what my opponent's going to want to do here. I think he ends up swinging 7 with lead, which I'm at a point where I will I'm okay taking, but he swings 7 into Lucci. But once again, as I said, another man's trash is one man's Lucci, or whatever I said earlier. And I am fine having Lucci in my trash. So looks like he's spreading out his Dawn, trying to figure out how best to get out of the situation he's in. I'm trying to figure out how best I get out of the situation I'm in, which is 2 Luccis stuck in my hand. Definitely tough. But thankfully, with the Wano build, my opponent, even with the Wano build, it doesn't look like my opponent's been able to build too much of a hand, which is good for me. Unfortunate for my opponent, but good for me. So lots of thinking. So if there's some cuts, don't worry about it, guys. I just want to keep the pace of the game moving at a smooth pace. So he goes ahead, and I think he's thinking about swinging pretty big with his Sabo. I'm not sure what else he could do, but he's thinking about it. Yep, he swings 6, and I'm trying to bait like I at least have some counter, and I take it, and God, we love to see Khalifa. Khalifa, such a good card. Another way to get cards out of my hand. And he does drop his Sabo, another Sabo, which it's really a bummer when you're playing Lucci and your opponent drops Sabo. It's like, oh, well, I can't even do much. But my opponent discards 2 E-shows, and yeah, that's pretty rough. So I restand Rebecca, I restand Spandam, and I'm thinking I have to get some bodies off his board. And I am thinking about, even though he's got 2 cards in hand, and even though I can't, I'm worried about the clapback. I don't have a lot of counter. I don't have any way to get the Lucci. Well, I do now that I have the Khalifa, but I feel like at this point in the game, Khalifa is more valuable as a 2K, and I'm considering playing Tempest Kick just to get hopefully a card that I can do something with. So I'm sorting out my Dawn like I have a plan here. And I end up tapping 1 and playing the Tempest Kick. And I say, okay, like, I'll minus Ryuma, and we get our own Sabo, which is so good. I'm so thrilled about that. So I set those Dawn aside, and I'm like, okay, now I can do some damage here. I swing 8. I think I swing 8 into one of the... I don't think I swing into life. I think I'm going to clear board because I want to be able to live. Yeah, I'm trying to choose between Sabo and Ryuma, and I think I swing 8 into Sabo just because it's more valuable to me to have the Sabo off board. I Lucci effect. We get a cost Sabo and a Brook into trash. Our trash is looking dummy thick from what you can see. You can see that little corner of my second pile of trash. Looking dummy thick, dude. And I do have 1 more Dawn. I go 9 into Ryuma. I'm kind of hoping I could get him to block with Sabo, but my opponent is a smart man, does not block with Sabo. We Sabo, we draw 2, and I unfortunately see Annie's lobby. I trash Rob, Lucci, and I end up trashing my other lobby. Realistically, I think I would have been okay trashing my other Lucci. But we have 1 Dawn up. Nothing really, not too much to do, really. He rests Rebecca. I throw Rebecca around a bit, and I'm definitely pretty nervous here. Just kind of don't know what my opponent has. Don't know what I can. I'm feeling like I'm running out of resources. He ends up swinging pretty big into Rebecca, and I let her go. I thought that was an interesting choice to swing into Rebecca. I guess it's understandable when I have two blockers on field. And I'm thinking at this point, okay, I have Borsalino. I can swing with Sabo. Granted, I did forget that Perona can rest the 4 cost, because my opponent did actually use the other Perona ability, which is -1. So, my opponent plays the Isho, resting the Spandime, and I think at this point my opponent is just trying to clear bodies off the board, just to, make sure I don't have enough bodies to go for game. So in that, in that idea, I do think that it's not a bad choice, especially because, like, Rebecca is, annoying, but, she's 0 cost, but Spandam, he's already got 2 power, so it's not too much more. And then my opponent goes ahead and passes, and I get another Borsalino, which I'm like trying to think about how I want to do this, what I want to do. I only have Lucci, and granted, I do have Khalifa, and Khalifa could have helped, but as I said, I do think she's more useful to me at this point in the game as a 2K. And so I'm thinking about trying to go for game, and I'm trying to think about if I can pop the Isho and the Sabo. I tap my Ennis lobby, and I minus the Sabo down to a 3 cost. I swing 5, I think. I swing 5 into Perona, minusing Sabo, and they go ahead and block, which is fine. I think I end up dropping Lucci here. I end up dropping Lucci, and I pop the Sabo. Not super worried about the the Isho? Or not Izo, excuse me, I have the Isho there. And I am sending some cards to the bottom. I did forget that they're not CP cards that Rob has to send back. So I send the Isho, the Sabo, and the Tempest Kick, just because Tempest Kick is a good card. And I want that again. And you can see my deck is getting small. So I swing 6 with Sabo, and he ends up giving me the 2k counter. And I am thinking, like, okay, like, how do I go for game? What do I do? Exactly, after stopping and thinking for a second, I decide not to go for game, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I'm counting. Yeah, because I think I realized, like, I don't have enough swings to get through the life since he countered out of the Sabo hit. So I do set aside. Yeah, I do set aside some Dawn here. And I swing the 9 at lead. And he takes, I drop 4. I tap 4, and I end up playing out the Borsalino. And I think I'm torn between what I want to do, but I do end up tapping 4. And I'm counting, making sure I trash the Suru. And I play out the Borsalino. And there is a moment here where I think, like, oh, did I throw? Like, he can tap my Borsalino. Like, that's not good. Realistically, my opponent has 2 swings, so even if he did tap Borsalino, he can't get through my life, which is great. But I think at this point, I feel like you can tell I'm getting I'm pretty stressed, and we are approaching time, which is even more stressful. I feel like all my games went really long. And with the fact that my opponent is looking through trash, I'm like, oh god, he's got another Gecko. I have to live through the carnage of another Gecko turn. Just, worrying about what my opponent here can do. And I don't have a lot of counter in my hand. I have 3k counter, which is more than I had earlier, but less than I'd like. I think one of the things I struggle with Lucci, especially, is just making sure I have staying up on card advantage. I feel like that's something I struggle with. So my opponent goes ahead and swings. He swings 7, and I decide to block with the Borsalino because I'm like, okay, there's a good chance Borsalino gets rested, and I don't get any benefit from Borsalino. This way, I get some benefit from Borsalino. So I go ahead and block with Borsalino, letting him go back into my trash. And he ends up minusing my Sabo by 1. And he plays out the Lucci, or the Gecko into Ryuma, which he then pops Sabo with the Ryuma, which is unfortunate, but understandable. He does the Otama search, and I think he ends up grabbing, he grabs an Izo, getting that 2k counter, which is very, very, it's very good for him. But he ends up passing turn, and I get another Gecko, so I'm like, okay, I could answer Gecko with Gecko, but realistically, he's got 3 cards in hand. I have 4 bodies to swing. I know he has at least a 2k, so I think I go for game here, and I think the judge is coming over to let us know that it is time. And I wasn't 100% sure how the overtime exactly worked. Like, I understood the concept of it, but it doesn't click in my head. So yeah, I am deciding to go for game. I end up swinging 7 because I know he has a 2k, so I know he's gonna have to give me 2 cards for that 7. And he gives me the Izo and the, what is his name? Momo. And I swing 7, he ends up taking, and then I put the rest on Gecko, which I think ends up being like a 15k, and he has the You Can Be My Samurai. So really, really good game. There's some more counter in my life. I definitely know I goofed up on that Lucci play, and yeah, I don't think I played that as cleanly as I could have, but I am pretty happy I was able to sneak out with the W. So that is gonna do it for me, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys liked this video, hit that like button down below. It helps me out more than you will ever know. Go ahead and subscribe if you are new, and I will see you guys in the next video. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day.